Cheers everybody, we got Graham,
Alex,
from the Homebrew Network, Smarty Pints coming at you. This is a quick intro to what Alex did for his starter for Brew Day that he had for his class. So tell us a little bit about your starter that you made.
Alright, we were doing a 10-gallon batch, so I did 2 separate starters for 2 separate strains of yeast. Each starter was like 1.2 liters. I guess I should kind of go into a couple schools of thought for doing starters. Probably the most common practice is for your starter wort, for a yeast starter, is do a gravity of 1.040, in that neighborhood. And the metric you were saying is 1 gram of... Well,
if you want to think simple, metric is the simplest way to go, and it's 1 gram per 10 mLs of water.
Yep, so that's just an easy way to do it. Or target 1040 specific gravity.
Yeah.
That's one school of thought. The school of thought that I subscribe to is make the starter wort as close to the original gravity of the beer you're actually going to pitch it into.
That way the yeast get used to the environment.
Exactly, they're acclimated to working under those conditions. Also, we were brewing a really hoppy IPA, so I even sprinkled some little hop pellets in there too, get them used to working with the hops. Yeah, you're not really too concerned about the liquid in there either. You know, you're not making an actual batch of beer, you're just building up the yeast, so if you do put hops in there or not, it's really not going to affect the final flavor of the beer. Because also there's 2 schools of thought about how you actually pitch that yeast starter into your beer to ferment it. One school of thought is let the yeast starter go up to high Kreuzen, the peak of activity, and just dump the whole thing into your beer, which is usually like, I don't know, 12 hours, 18 hours, depending on your yeast strain. Another school of thought is let that yeast hit its peak, collapse upon itself, settle out and form a sediment layer, put that whole thing in the fridge, let it kind of solidify and go dormant, decant the liquid off the top, and then add some of your actual work for your beer in there, swish it around, and pitch it that way. It actually really worked out nice for this beer that I just did, that you're probably going to be seeing some clips of in a little bit, is because one of the yeast strains flocked out really quickly and the other didn't, so I did both of those. One I decanted and added, and the other one I just put the whole thing in.
Yep. So we're going to follow this up with a quick video of how he made his starter. And the really cool thing that I liked is that you used a drill with a mixer on it for your starter. I've never done that. But hey, you know, it's pretty cool. So you're going to watch it. Here it comes. Coming at you. Smarty Pints. Yeast starter.
Alright, so now I'm measuring out the DME for the starter. According to Mr. Malty, I'm going to need 10 ounces of DME. So let's try to get to 10 without spilling this everywhere, which I am prone to do. Yay! Alright. So now a little trick I have for mixing the DME into the Erlenmeyer is use a mixer. Actually, want to help over here, Chris?
Yep.
Perfect timing. So Chris is going to pour the DME in at the same time that I mix it. That way we won't get any clumps. Yes. Alright. And then I'm also going to put the stir bar in there, so that gets sanitized as well. Cool. And just tilt this to the side a little bit so you're not dropping it straight down in the glass, and let it slide down the side. Voila. Alright, let's heat this sucker up. Oh, almost forgot. I like to put a couple hot pellets in here too. That's probably too much. Let's go, yeah, just about that many. Just a little bit, just a few. Alright. We good? Alright. So let's get this sucker sterilizing. the idea here isn't, you know, like a typical boil like you would for any other batch of beer. Right now we're purely just going to get it up to temperature to kill anything that might be in there, sterilize it, make it a nice, clean, sanitary environment for the yeast to do their thing. So I'm only really just going to get it up to boil and hold it there for maybe 5 minutes or so. Also, when you're dealing with this small of a volume, be very, very careful about boilovers. Not that I'm talking from experience or anything. That never happens to me. Definitely not twice in one day. Oh yeah, so another cool trick is I keep this bottle of reverse osmosis water next to me when I'm boiling. So that way, in case it starts to boil over, just spray it back and knock it down to submission. Alright, I'm calling it. Alright. Now we're going to go chill this puppy down. So right here we just have a cold water bath. A couple little ice packs in there just to help it chill faster. You will notice I have two. Did one earlier before you guys were watching. Because Graham and I on Saturday are doing a 10-gallon batch of double IPA. And when I do 10-gallon batches, I like to split them up and ferment them separately. So this way I have two separate starters for two separate strains of yeast. So when it's all done, even though it's the same batch of beer, we're going to ferment them with different yeast and take note of the subtle nuances, flavor differences, etc., etc.